I wish I could vlog, but then it is a bit kind of a formal video. Hi guys, it's Lily here, and today I'm making a YouTube video not like any other YouTube video that I have made. Today we're going to learn a bit of science, and the topic today is about heat. So I guess all of you know what heat is. Heat is basically energy that flows from a hot object to a cold object. So something hot to something cold. Right now I have two drinks. One is a cold drink. I got syrup Bandung ice. And the next one is I got a glass of tea, hot tea.
Why do we feel hot when we touch a hot drink and we feel cold when we touch a cold drink? To answer this question, we must study the concept of heat and thermal equilibrium. This is because the hot object is in contact with the cold object and there is energy being transferred between these two objects. Energy is transferred from the hot object to the cold object at a higher rate than the energy transferred from the cold object to the hot object. Hence, there is a net transfer of energy from the hot object to the cold object. We say there is a heat transfer from a hot object to a cold object. The hot object becomes cooler, while the cold object gets warmer. If there is a difference in temperature between two objects, energy is transferred from the hotter object to the cooler one. This will continue until both objects are at the same temperature. When the rate of heat transfer between the two objects becomes the same, there is no net heat transfer between them. The two objects are said to have achieved thermal equilibrium and both have the same temperature.
So what is heat capacity? So heat capacity is the quantity of heat that is required to increase the temperature of a substance by 1 degree Celsius.
For the first experiment, we are going to study the concept of heat capacity. As you guys can see, I have taken some water from the swimming pool into the bucket. This is so I will measure the temperature of the water in the swimming pool and in the bucket after a few hours. Now it's time to measure the temperature. Clearly, you guys can see that the temperature of the water in the bucket is 42.2 degrees Celsius. Whereas the temperature of the water in the swimming pool decreases until 29.7 degrees Celsius. This clearly shows that the bigger the mass of the substance, the higher the temperature. The smaller the substance, the faster it absorbs heat. This experiment shows that the water in the swimming pool and in the bucket have different heat capacity.
So the experiment that we just did to conclude, the bigger the mass of the water, the smaller the increase of the temperature. So, in other words, more water, lower temperature. Less water, high temperature.
Then I did an experiment using bread. I got 4 gardenia bread and I cut them in different sizes. I'll be toasting them and measure each of the bread's heat capacity. I've also labeled the bread A, B, C and D. And now I'll be toasting one by one and measure the temperature. The power of heat is constant for each bread and also the time, which is 60 seconds.
just now, and we wanted to study the heat capacity of each substance. And the conclusion was, the smaller the substance, the more heat it absorbs and the higher the temperature. So the smaller the substance, the higher the temperature. So as you guys can see, I got an iron here and a Tefal here, and I just want to tell you guys that this thing, the holder of the iron and also the holder of the Tefal, are made of materials that have high heat capacity. This is so that they don't get heated up easily, whereas the bottom here and also here are made out of materials that have low heat capacity so that it can be easily heated up. The reasons are because So this is the end of my video. Oh, 1 Celsius.
Jangan tanya juga.
Mama cakap it's 1 Celsius. It goes.
Are you okay? Why are you running?